Good afternoon from Lincoln, Nebraska. It's April 5th and it's snowing out. Everybody's anxious about planning. Everybody's anxious about the trade tariffs that have been announced by President Trump earlier in the week, 50 billion. They announced another 100 billion on Thursday evening. Beans were down 20 cents overnight on the open. Corn was down about 10. Fortunately, by the end of the day on Friday, we actually were pretty much unchanged. May corn finished at about 388. D's corn finished at 412. The May beans finished at 1034. The Novi beans finished at 1033. So for the week, we've had some pretty big moves in the markets. But all in all, when you look at that D's corn, it finished up slightly above the close that we had last Thursday after one of the most bullish reports that we've had in long history. Looking at the trade war information, the United States imports about $505 billion worth of goods from China. We export about $105 billion worth of goods. Out of that, exports account for about 25 to 35 or to 30 billion bushels of U.S. Agricultural products. So the U.S. ag sector has a high portion of that, the goods that we do export to China. Big things on Friday though, U.S. weather, like I started to mention with the snow, seemed to move the markets back higher by the end of the day. The lower Argentine crop that everybody's been talking about is going to give us some opportunities, I think, on the bean prices here, kind of, in that recovery as well. It looks like, the Chinese are still going to need to buy beans from Brazil. Those basis levelers have blown up. They're like 150 over on the basis down there, which is going to be a real treat to the Brazilian producer, which is going to encourage them to produce more beans next year. May come at the expense of some corn. But the big problem with these trade wars is that it really sets us up for a longer term psychological problem. It gives them more incentive to produce crops. If you look back at 2012 when we had the drought, we increased world acreage substantially. We've been fighting those extra stocks, and that's the thing that worries me about this trade war is it's going to encourage a lot of our people that tend to buy our products that we worked a lot on export development, going to push them into other producing countries, which is not good for us longer term. But hopefully they'll get this stuff negotiated out here over the next 30 to 100 days and be able to get this resolved. And with that, I really want to look at make sure we're selling D's corn if we're at that 412. If we're looking at this number 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, we would have felt that was a good number to sell. And even when you look at soybeans, if we finished at that 1033, that's a number that's above our break evens. And when you look at the potential for bean carryout in that 350 to 500 million bushel range, bean prices could be back towards $9 with that type of carryout. And those are kind of conservative estimates that we're seeing after last week's report. Beans today are still a good sale. And you can, if you don't want to sell them because you're worried about the weather, there's different ways you can do it. You don't have to just go straight out hedge them or cash sell them. You can do some things with some options, but there's some things there that we can do to protect ourselves in these very volatile and very uncertain markets. Thank you very much and have a good weekend.